Hi, I'm Parker, GM of ReelFlyRod, and this is Sippin' the Dry. Park, welcome.
Park Burson.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, bud. Thanks for having me.
So Park Burson is of Tidewater Sales, rep of Orvis Scientific Angler, Sitka. Am I missing a couple?
Fulling Mill Flies and Bahio Sunglasses.
That's right. We do a lot with Fulling Mill Flies. That's cool. Well, one of the things today is you guys were actually coming up to show off some new gear, but then really to kind of educate the staff on Orvis products. And
Absolutely.
we figured we'd sit you down. And one of the coolest things, being an Orvis dealer, is that Orvis really does a great job, I think, of doing this good, better, best thing.
Yeah, I would say they do. I've been in this industry for 20, 25 years, and one of the things I really like about Orvis, they have done a phenomenal job at being able to create a beginner level, an entry level, get people into the sport, introduce them to that sport, and then also maintain a level of products from good to better to even best and super premium in our H3 rods, which are, $1,000 price point rod. And I really think, obviously I'm jaded, but I feel like, Orvis does that better than anyone else to be able to actually compete that well at the beginner level with a really good product that can catch fish and have a great time, all the way up to $1,000 price point that, is all in bar holes, one of the best products on the market.
And from a retailer standpoint, I've been selling Orvis for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, and it's very easy to sell Orvis, because they allow so many options, and certainly they get into waders and boots and clothing, and I can tell you that I think every single person on my staff has started with an Orvis Clearwater of some sort, some sort of revision of it, and then, progressed from there. And I think I've had the opportunity to go out to Orvis, out in Vermont, and see not only the rod factory, but their main homestead out there, and it's really cool if anybody's ever stepped up. So to kind of get into it, right now we're in the hot of the season. It's summer season. It's kind of our busy season, and we're getting a lot of questions of, basically from a beginner question, what's a great outfit to start with, to, hey man, I've been fishing for a while, why should I pick, this rod over others? And so I was figuring maybe we can go over a couple of things that we have here on the table and just kind of educate people in a brief summary of what kind of Orvis has to offer.
Absolutely, Parker. One of the things I think this is great to start with is just the overall knowledge of Orvis in general. It's a 150-year-old company. They're adamant about customer service no matter what, and service means not only selling people a great product, but also serving that product, as time goes on, whether you break a rod or have an issue with something or just need knowledge and support off the website or through the dealer.
They're incredible.
Very good about that. As good as anyone in the market by far, and they try to take that high level of customer service down to product development, and saying that, there's times where you get to a product like the Encounter, which is, used to be $169 price point. Now it's $198. And what they try to do is not start out about hitting a price point. They try to make the absolute best product at that level and price. And to do that, this is a product that's sourced from overseas, but we also now include it with, a combo rod and reel case, which is great. It did not have that before. We have a redesigned reel, redesigned rod, with a nice pretty green blank that goes in line with the aesthetics of our Clearwater and high-end Recon and H3s. But you do have a 5-year warranty on that with a nice line and the rod reel case included. So at $198, that's a heck of a value in a limited series of rod weight offerings. But it's a great product for not only someone just to get started to try fly fishing and see if they like it, but then in terms of we've got a warranty on it, it protects the customer. And there's a lot of other products that are juxtaposed to that with waders and the Encounter jacket and the Encounter boot and other things that fall in that same price range. So it helps the customer understand kind of where they are and what that is. And then, quite frankly, that rod can catch almost any fish around if somebody wants to use it too. So it's perfectly fine to stay there. And then we move up and we go up to other products like the Clearwater.
Clearwater is pretty much my number one selling, rod, reel, and line. It's perfectly priced.
And has a 25-year warranty, which is amazing. It also is a full, complete set, meaning it goes all the way from a 3-weight up to rods that can be used for musky fishing.
Yep,
We've got
they
that
have a
new
9 and
musky
10
rod,
weight, yep,
species specific.
Yep.
We have, rods that are used for Euro nymphing. We have a Euro nymph combo, which is unbelievable for under $500 to be getting started.
Hot
if
seller,
someone wanted to try
especially with
that.
the ESN / Euro craze and all that stuff.
It's great, and it's a great way for a guy to get started. And if
Yeah.
he really likes it, then he can get into longer weights or different weights, go down to a 2-weight or use an 11-footer or whatever. But it's a great product to get started with, and that one is available all the way up to 12-weight rod too. So awesome product.
One of the coolest rods, and this is its second iteration, is that the Recon. I ended up picking the Recon when it first came out,
Yep.
and if I'm not mistaken, kind of using Helios kind of technology in terms of developing tapers,
That's
and then
correct.
just not using the specific resins that the Helios does. But the Recon is incredibly light, but it's geared towards the guy that's fishing a lot more.
Yeah.
He wants a lightweight rod or maybe a more responsive action rod.
Very durable rod. I mean, one of the things that goes on with all the companies as you start to push the envelope at the top end of the rod sector up in that $1,000 series. I mean, to get the absolute best characteristics, there's a give-take scenario. When you start getting smaller wall thicknesses and things like that to make a rod super crisp and super responsive, the problem with that is you might get a little more brittleness or a reason for a rod to not perform exactly like you want to down the road. And the great thing about a Recon, as we can take technology and push the envelope on the top end, you can use technology that's slightly older in some of the mandrels and tapers
Yep.
that has been proven winners, and use that in a technology product like the Recon, which is a $550, $600 price point. And man, you can have an unbelievable rod that, quite frankly, is probably better than any of the premier rods were 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And it's a full encompassing series of fresh and saltwater versions in that as well, which is very nice.
And what's cool, so you kind of get the beginner guys that call in. You get kind of the guys that have been fishing a little bit, want to upgrade a little bit. That's where
Yeah.
the Clearwater Recon. But then a lot of guys, they want the flagship. They want the
They
best
do.
of the best. So
They do.
you guys came out with the third iteration of the Helios 3, and I think you guys knocked the ball out of the park on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the cool things is continuity with these brands, especially Orvis. And some of the people in rod development have been there now for well over 10 years. And that, when you get that kind of continuity going forward with the design team and the production team and all that stuff, you can do some pretty special stuff. And what they sought out to do with the new H3 was to make a rod that was just incredibly accurate, very smooth, very responsive, and sharp to the point. So the technology behind that institute has a lot to do with material, and then things like mandrels and how the tapers are, and then obviously we're doing a lot of our own in-house design components on the reel seat and things like that, and that's a really big deal too, especially in a year like we've had with COVID and supply chain issues. Orvis has set records for the last 2 or 3 years in sales and production of all these products, and a lot of that's because after that many years we were already down the road about doing most of the stuff in-house, and that's a big deal because you're not having to source near as many parts to get the product done. And
Well, a lot of people don't realize how many rods Orvis actually produces, and
It's
we don't need
pretty
to name the
incredible.
number, but it's
Right. It's incredible.
It's incredible how much.
I mean, there's
they
some
really
other
do.
big name brands out there
Yeah.
that don't sell that many in 20 years,
Yeah,
and they do it in a
exactly.
year. But it's a super cool when you get to the premium products and what they're designed to do. The one thing I can say is they do exactly what they're designed to do, and they're highly accurate, very crisp, very light, cast. I mean, unbelievably well in all types of situations. For instance, like saltwater. If you're bone fishing, it's blowing 20 miles an hour.
I got an
that's
8-weight,
where you can
9-foot
tell the
3D right
difference.
now
Yeah.
for that purpose. Yeah.
And people ask me all the time, like, what is the difference? Is it just manufacturer? Is it just components? Like, the difference when you're standing on the front of a boat and it's blowing 25 knots, and you probably shouldn't be fly fishing at all anyway, but you can still throw.
Sure.
And that's amazing. So.
We'll get to two other things here real quick. So the reels, you guys kind of did the same. You're starting off with a Clearwater reel in your lineup, and then go to a bat and kill, which you not only have the original kind of look and
Traditional feel.
feel of the bat and kill, but you get the bat and kill disc now.
Yeah.
But then you guys got some newer ones, the Mirage LT, which is, I got 2 of those. Man, they're great. The Hydros before that, I apologize, but the Hydros is a really cool reel because it's kind of that $200, mid $200 price range. I think it's good for anything. You can just beat them to death on fresh or saltwater.
Completely agree. And that Hydros reel, honestly, for the money, is a fantastic product. We are now continuing to offer this in multiple colors. This is the matte silver. We're now, for fall, we'll have up to 5 colors in this available. It's been one of the #1 selling volume reels, I think, in the history of Orvis.
Wow.
Like, massive volume. But the reality is, Brad Beefus and I were just coming up here today to come visit you guys. And, you know, we had a guy send us a reel of clips they're doing on this crazy saltwater fishing, and they're using hydros reels, for 100+ pound fish. And the reality is that's not what it's designed to do, but it's an unbelievable product for the money. And matching something like a hydros on a clear water rod, which would be considered, you know, that's not a premium price point for us, but that product would do just about anything you want it to do.
You know, and last, really, the Mirage is one of the best built reels, you know, that are around in the industry. It doesn't get a lot of credit, but I think I've been around people that say there's been more guides fishing Mirage reel than anybody else. You know, it's a fantastic reel.
It absolutely is. And so what we've done in the last few years, we're starting to partner more of our premium stuff made in Vermont. And so after Hydros, we go to the new Mirage LT and the Mirage. And the Mirage is basically, these LTs are designed to be, you know, it's not your guide beat 'em up special, but it's more of a streamlined, lighter weight, way more ported out. Really good looking colors, and an awesome product. And then, as Parker's saying, when we go to that Mirage, it's basically run over it with your car, guide reel.
Don't run over it with your car, but you could.
But you could. And then you throw it underneath the gunnels of the boat. And I mean, it's another thing we don't, you know, obviously tell people to go do, but there's people that leave these things rigged with H3s underneath the gunnels in their flat skiffs, blow them off with a hose, and they go months and months and months without any problems whatsoever. And, you know, the power to stop a tarpon, anything out there on the water, GTs, the heaviest of fish, and just, I mean, it's the reel that gets it done. And you're right, they don't have quite the name for the reels that this thing deserves, because I'm not ever getting calls as the rep that has all these accounts. I don't get a call saying, oh, my Mirage failed.
You know, I actually don't know if I've had one. Really.
No, and y'all sold a ton of them. So it's pretty nice to be in that situation, and that reel definitely deserves, you know, quite a bit of love for what it does. And I love that story of producing that stuff in Vermont, where the rod factory's been, and there's women there at that rod factory that have been wrapping rods they do a home wrapping program for guides and things like that. Some of those women have been there 25 years doing the same thing. Sweet. And that's just, it's a family run business, and it's super cool, especially with the volume that they push out of there.
Well, so last couple things, and I appreciate, you know, sitting down with us. You know, the lines, again, you kind of take us through. The Clearwater line is kind of that, you know, $50 price point, but now you're getting into what they call the Orvis Pro lines and the Hydros lines and stuff like that. And what's really cool is you kind of, I think it's kind of built on, you know, specific application, you know, so you want to try to match the line to the rod to the application. But sometimes guys that fish 100 days a year, they're going to need an Orvis Pro line. They're not, you know, they'll burn up a Clearwater line pretty quickly.
They will, and the reality there is the Pro Series fly lines from Orvis. They have an agent that's added in the process that does bring out about 4x the amount of durability. And that's what Parker's talking about is, you know, not only is it super slick out of the packaging, not only does it not have a lot of, you know, friction in the guides, but the additive that's in there that's patented for their use that other companies cannot use, it actually allows for durability. That was kind of a sidestep that we weren't exactly, that wasn't the first forward-seeking thing, but now the durability on those lines are proven to be unbelievable. I mean, if those lines are taken care of at all with simple cleaning, they can last a long time.
Yeah, we have like a little cleaning video that Thomas did, so people
that's
can research
great.
that. Man, dude, that was sweet. I really want to have you back maybe in the fall time to talk about waders and boots, because
I'd love to.
Orvis does, we won't get into it, but Orvis does a fantastic job of putting people into waders and actually making very durable waders, depending on how much you're really fishing per year, or, you know, the longevity of that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think they've had a really good run of doing that for a long period of time. So there's a lot of manufacturers of waders in the market. Orvis has long-standing relationships with the manufacturers that make those waders, all the way back to the, you know, ultrasonic waders and everything we've done, and they have really got those seams figured out, and between breathability, durability, and all the things that really matter, plus the design. So, great products.
Thank you, buddy. So you can find all the Orvis equipment on our you know, online. You know, if you have any questions, our pro staff's here. The coolest thing is he's slightly local, so He tries to train us pretty good, but even the better part is we actually get to fish a lot of the Orvis stuff, so we're pretty knowledgeable and that sort of thing. So
That's what it's supposed to do.
good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. Thank you, bud. Thanks for having me.